Hey guys, welcome back to another Clash Royale video, and today I have a very special episode for you. We're going to be ranking every single legendary card in Clash Royale right now in terms of their power ranking, and at the end of the video, I'll also give you my list of the top 5 best legendary cards in Clash Royale right now, in my opinion. I would love to hear your feedback and your thoughts on my list. So after you're done watching today's video, make sure to leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of my list. And if you have a list of your own, I would love to hear it as well. So I already have a tier list maker pulled up on screen here, and I also have the website Royale API as well to provide some actual stats to back up our ranking in terms of the win rate and the use rates of certain cards. So first things first, guys, let's go ahead and dive into the list. The first card right here, guys, is going to be the Ram Rider, which I currently rank over at the C tier ranking. Isn't very viable in Clash Royale right now, and not a whole lot of decks use the Ram Rider successfully, which is why I kind of rank it a C tier card. Similarly, the Lumberjack I consider a C tier card as well. It was nerfed back in the summer of last year, I believe, with a 0.1 second slower attack speed. And that nerf actually hit the card very, very hard. It used to be very, very strong before that nerf, like on borderline overpowered, but it just hasn't quite been the same since then, and is currently outshined by the Night Witch, which is equally as effective as a tank destroyer, but also has the added utility of those bats, which can be definitely overwhelming for your opponent. Now, taking a look at the stats of both the Ram Rider and the Lumberjack, you can see right here, guys, the Ram Rider isn't doing too well with a 46% win rate and a 3% use rate, one of the lower cards in the entire game, and the Lumberjack isn't much better at all as well. It currently has a lower win rate at 44%. Compare that to the Night Witch, which has a whopping 50% win rate and double the usage at 14%. So Lumberjack definitely getting outshined right now by the Night Witch, and Ram Rider just kind of isn't doing too hot in the current meta, which is why they're both ranked as C tier cards. Similarly, the Princess I would also consider a C tier card. Princess is one of the OG legendary cards in Clash Royale. In fact, one of the first legendary cards that ever came out with the Ice Wizard, and it's only really ever used in log bait Goblin Barrel decks, and is currently way outshined by a common card, the Firecracker, which is the same elixir cost, a common card, therefore easier to upgrade, and just overall way stronger of a card. The Princess right now currently has a very, very low win rate. Where is it? Right here, of 44%. Compare that to Firecracker at 53%. That's a common card versus legendary card with a 9% win rate difference. That is why the Princess lands on the C tier ranking today. Moving along here, we have ourselves the Fishy Boy. I missed you down there. I haven't seen you in so long, I didn't recognize you. The Fishy Boy. Yeah, what an interesting card. Very, very cool mechanic, but unfortunately, very, very weak right now, guys. The Fishy Boy is the only card on our list today that is actually a F tier card. Bottom of the bottom in terms of just power ranking overall. Not a very strong card in Clash Royale at all. In fact, the Fisherman is currently the third lowest used card in the entire game and has a very disappointing win rate of 33%. So, you know, not much needs to be said there, guys. The Fisherman just isn't doing too well in Clash Royale right now, and therefore is the F tier card. Sparky proves to be a bit better. I would say Sparky is a B tier card. Very, very effective in certain matchups, but can be hard countered by a couple of cards very severely. Things like Electro Dragons, Rockets, E-Wizards, stuff like that can be very, very effective against the Sparky, and can be very tough to overcome if you are facing a deck that is stacked in counter cards. But overall, I think this Sparky is pretty effective for what it does, and the win rates kind of resemble that fact, with the Sparky currently having a 49% win rate, which is very, very normal. Moving on, guys, we have the Ice Wizard, another B tier card. Is used in a variety of control style decks like Ice Bow and Graveyard, and pairs pretty well with the NATO spell as well. Overall, offers a fair bit of utility for the 3 elixir cost, and the win rates of the Ice Wizard aren't as high as you would think, only around 46%, which is similar to the Lumberjack, but honestly, the Ice Wizard offers a lot more utility, in my opinion, than the Lumberjack, and is a bit of a higher skill card to use in terms of the defensive value, which is why the win rate is a little bit lower than standard. But when you face off against a good Ice Ball user, for example, the Ice Wizard can be super frustrating and shut down your entire push with the slow effect. Moving on, guys, we have the Infernal Dragon, another B tier card, in my opinion. It does what it's supposed to do. It destroys tanks fairly effectively, has a few counter cards, but overall is kind of like the average of the pack in terms of strength for a legendary card in Clash Royale. Moving on, we have the Royal Ghost. I would say another B tier card. Works pretty well in certain decks like Royal Hog's Control, Three Musketeers, or P.E.K.K.A. Bridge Spam. But overall, just like doesn't overshine any other cards, isn't extremely overpowered or underpowered. I would say is pretty much baseline for where the power ranking of a legendary card should be. Moving on, we have the Electro Wizard. Electro Wizard, I think, is another B tier card. Pretty controversial opinion, I know. It is effective at countering things like Sparkies, Infernal Dragons, and Infernal Towers, offering the extra utility. However, in my opinion, I think the Electro Wizard is outshined right now by the Musketeer. The Musketeer right here, guys, is a similarly ranged card. Obviously doesn't have the utility of the reset, but it has a much higher DPS output. So the E-Wizard is right here at a 45% win rate. Musketeer right here at 52% win rate. So the Musketeer is a rare card that has a 7% higher win rate than the E-Wizard and over double the usage. That is why I rank the E-Wizard as a B tier card, because it's outshined by a rare card, the Musketeer. Now moving on, guys, we have the Magic Archer. I think our first A tier card on this list. It was nerfed fairly recently with lower health, but honestly, it still locks onto your tower equally as fast, and a good player with the Magic Archer can do devastating damage to your tower in a short amount of time if they are pretty good with their alignment of the Magic Archer, and it can be pretty punishing at times if you don't have a response for it. Definitely think the Magic Archer is an A tier legendary card in Clash Royale. Similarly, Mega Knight. Mega Knight is one of my favorite cards in the entire game. Very, very effective at destroying those big pushes, massive splash damage, area damage jumping into the arena, and overall is a beastie tank in Clash Royale. I think it definitely belongs on the A tier list. There's a lot of decks in the meta right now that rock the Mega Knight in there, which is one of the bases for my power ranking in terms of the variety of decks available. Similarly, Lava Hound. Lava Hound is a pretty interesting one. I actually considered making it an S tier card because when you look at the win rates, it's actually very, very high. However, the use rates of the Lava Hound are a lot lower, which suggests to me that it's a smaller set of highly skilled players that rock the Lava Hound for success, but the overall average player will have a hard time winning with the Lava Hound because it is a bit of a tougher card to use. What I mean by that is take a look over here, guys. We have the Lava Hound is way, way down here next to the Sparky in terms of use rates, but it has a whopping 56% win rate, one of the highest win rates in the entire game. Use rate is fairly low, but it has one of the highest win rates, which, as I mentioned, suggests that it's a smaller set of highly skilled players that have mastered the card that are using it to success. I think it's definitely an A tier card. Isn't like extremely overpowered, but the right people can make it work very effectively. A Bandit is another card that I also think is an A tier card. It's one of those cards that can offer insane value for a 3 elixir cost. Instant dash, immune wall dashing, can offer so much value in some scenarios, jumping from unit to unit, and honestly, by itself can force out so much pressure for a 3 elixir card that I definitely think it belongs on the A tier of our list. Moving on, guys, we have the Night Witch right now, a very, very annoying and frustrating card. Definitely think it's another A tier card as well. It, like I mentioned before, it has a 50% win rate, but it's primarily paired up with Golem. For the most part, there are a few other decks that rock it, things like Giant Night Witch Control, a few graveyards use Night Witch as well, not too many, but it's primarily focused in Golem beatdown decks, and honestly is the single card in Golem that I think makes Golem very, very frustrating to deal with, because she has a respectfully high damage output, but also has all of those annoying bats that keep spawning out like crazy and demands so many responses. If you don't have a splash damage card like Poison or Nado or whatever in your deck, the Night Witch can be absolutely devastating and is a very, very tough card to deal with. Now, moving on here, guys, we have the Log Spell, our first S tier legendary card on our list. Not a whole lot to be said, guys. Log Spell, very, very effective. One of the best spells in the game. Knocks back units, destroys things like princesses in one shot, and is overall just a very, very strong card in Clash Royale. Similarly, the Graveyard, S tier. This is a pretty controversial opinion, I feel like. Some of you guys might disagree with me. A few months ago, if you would have asked me, I would have said Graveyard A tier or B tier. But lately, the past couple of metas, Graveyard has been dominating meta after meta. Whether it's the spawner meta or whatever, Graveyard consistently one of the top tier decks in Clash Royale, and it's one of the more versatile decks as well. So I definitely think the Graveyard belongs in the S tier list. And then finally, guys, we have ourselves the Miner, the single most versatile card in the entire game that isn't a spell, in my opinion, works in almost any single deck. You can throw a Miner in there and have it work equally as well. It's a win condition. It can be a support card used to assassinate enemies' troops across the river. It can be used as a defensive tank if you need to in an emergency, and is overall just a very, very strong legendary card in Clash Royale. So right there, guys, is the tier list ranking for every single legendary card in Clash Royale right now. Leave your thoughts down below if you agree with my list or even if you disagree. Moving on here, guys, let's finish with the top 5. What do I think are the absolute top 5 best legendary cards in Clash Royale right now? Well, number 1 has to be the Miner. Miner, as I mentioned before, guys, is the single most versatile troop card in the entire game. Works in literally any deck, can benefit from having a Miner in there. Win condition, support card, defensive tank, whatever you need, the Miner can do. And I absolutely think it's one of the best legendary cards in Clash Royale. And honestly, the use rates and win rates don't lie. It's the single most used legendary card in the entire game that isn't a spell, and the win rates are insane as well. Number 2 is going to be the Log Spell. Pretty standard stuff in there, guys. It is, as I mentioned over here, one of the most used cards in the game. Very, very strong at what it does, and just overall is one of the most effective spells. Graveyard going to come in at number 3 over here. Very, very strong win rates. Let's go ahead here, guys. Take a look at the win rates of the Graveyard. Boom. 55 freaking percent. Higher win rate than the Miner by 1%. Obviously, not nearly as high of a usage rate. But man, it is one of the highest win rate win conditions in Clash Royale and consistently one of the top tier strategies in the game. Definitely think Graveyard belongs at number 3 of the top 5 best legendary cards in Clash Royale right now. Moving on, we got Bandit, I think is number 4, and then Mega Knight is number 5. Why Bandit number 4? Why not Lava Hound? Because Lava Hound has a higher win rate. Lava Hound, I think, is way, way harder to use. Bandit, I think, is sneakily very, very strong. Offers insane value, has extra utility with her dash. She's able to deny Prince charge damage, able to deny Sparky blast damage, because when they hit her, she is immune during her dash. And for 3 elixir spam at the bridge, with basically any support card or even by herself, she puts on so much pressure. And the Mega Knight, guys, is just, like I said before, one of my favorite cards in the entire game. So effective on defense and offense, beastie tank, tons of splash damage, and overall, just one of the best legendary cards in Clash Royale, in my opinion. So, those are my top 5 best legendary cards in Clash Royale right now, guys. Let me know, do you agree or disagree with my top 5 list? Do you agree or disagree with my tier list ranking? I'd love to hear your thoughts, guys and girls. Let me know down below if you have your own tier list as well. But that is the end of the video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this. I really enjoyed doing this tier list rankings. If you want to see more in the future, let me know down below, guys. For the end of the video, thank you for watching. We shall see you in the next one.